Facebook. Helmets and Heels, excited to be here live. We actually are across from the fan shop. We are at the, what do we call it?
It's the 17th challenge.
The 17th challenge. So if 17 at TPC is perhaps a little intimidating, or maybe you want to warm up for that day you finally get your chance on the Island Green, look no further than as soon as you come in the Nicholas entry, which is off Palm Valley Road, you are able to, right here on the left, try your hand. They've got every wedge, every club imaginable. Maybe you're like me. Maybe you want to pull 5-wood on 17. Yikes. Someone's going to judge me on the text line for that. And you get a chance to try to drop your ball onto the Island Green. Hi, Taylor. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. We've been here since 9 a.m. shooting some videos for our partners here at TPC, and so I'm rearing to go. I actually have not had coffee yet either, so someone on the text line will also roast me for that.
Yeah, I actually was going to come straight out here, ended up going into the station because I have a lot of tickets I have to send out, so figured I'd knock those out before heading this way. But I was telling Mike on Crosstalk, not a single cloud in the sky right now. It's a little chilly in the shade, but when you're in the sun, it's perfection.
Yeah, it's a little bit chillier, but hey, we expect next week it to warm up a little bit because that is what the forecast says. Maybe a little rain Thursday, but
Possibly.
I think the golfers will probably like those overcast skies after plenty of sunshine during the practice rounds on Tuesday and Wednesday. As you also mentioned to Mike and Tony during Crosstalk, we have a loaded show for you. Ross Tucker going to join us at 12:15, talk a little O-line, probably the best timing ever to talk a little offensive line here in the city of Jacksonville. Dalton Wasserman of PFF going to join us at 1:30, and then our good friend Miranda Rossum of the Players Championship set to join us at 1 o'clock live here at the 17th Challenge. But we do begin, before we get to our series of the 3 best matches at certain positions for the Jacksonville Jaguars in the NFL Draft, we begin with our reaction to the news of late last night. Taylor, I tweeted it. I will be completely transparent with the Heeligans. My brother is visiting this week. It's his first time in town in 5 years. We go to dinner last night. I put the phone down at 5:50. Tell me, Taylor, what happened between 5:50 and 7:20 when we went to leave the restaurant?
Well, James Gladstone went to work. Completely. I kind of joked at first because the first few names trickling in were a lot of guys, and we already knew about the Mitch Moore stuff, but a lot of guys that the Jags got in free agency last year. So I jokingly tweeted saying James Gladstone saw the free agent signings of last year and was like, WTF, were you thinking? So that started it. But then obviously then later, a little bit after that, got an Evan Engram. And I feel like that always happens to you, by the way. It's always you went for a run.
Yes.
Or you're in a yoga class. Or
this dates back to the Urban Meyer debacle. Like, this just, I mean, we could even go all the way back to when we thought Dave and Doug were going to get fired in 2019.
Yeah.
That was the last time my brother was visiting. And my family and I are, like, trying to plan our week, and we're like, well, we don't know. Is Mia got to go to a presser? Does she not? Yeah, I mean, my personal life aside, the fact that these releases came fast and furious in a 1-hour time span, Taylor, that part for me is not surprising.
Yeah.
That tends to be the standard order of business operations in the National Football League. The idea of Christian Kirk traded to the Houston Texans yesterday, I know that rubbed a lot of folks the wrong way because that is a interdivision trade, but ultimately, look, I mean, and a lot of people have made this point on Twitter and beyond, would you rather get nothing for Christian Kirk aside from a dead cap money that you would incur?
Yeah.
Or would you at the very least like a nice sandwich to go along with it? I mean, you're going to take the sandwich, and you never know what that 7th rounder may become, or better yet, you use that 7th rounder in a package as ammo to move up in the NFL Draft. And look, I know many of you out there have been hurt before by Trent Baalke and him acquiring 6th-round picks as if they were Horcruxes in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
I understand there's not a ton of value in a 7th-round pick, but ultimately, all of these picks are throws at a dartboard.
Yeah.
And that's just another throw.
Yeah, I think for me, I get both sides of it. I get people who are upset in the sense of it's going to the Texans, because some people are saying, I don't care about a sandwich if that means I have to go watch Christian Kirk and play against Christian Kirk 2 times a year. I don't want to see that personally. And as much as I was just saying Christian Kirk struggled with injuries and all of these sorts of things, he's still a good wide receiver. And we just heard news yesterday or the day before that Tank Dell's probably going to miss the season. He's just now having surgery because all of the inflammation and everything just went down. So it looks like he's probably going to miss the majority of the season. So So this is going to be a big weapon for the Houston Texans. And obviously if he can stay healthy part is a big factor in that. But that's the last thing you want to watch. And I heard Frank and Hayes talking about this yesterday, and Frank's like, for all we know, Houston was going to sign him anyways. And so if that's the case, then at least you get something out of it. I get that, but you have a personal hand now in giving them another weapon, and that's not probably the most ideal thing that you want to do. But at the same time, in the other sense of it, yes, you are getting something rather than nothing out of a Christian Kirk. We all fully were like, okay, well, he's gone, he's released, nothing, there's dead cap, and that's what it is. And I think most people had already kind of accepted that and started making explanations for that, and now you have to talk about him being on the Houston Texans.
We are live on the road, but we are still looking to hear from you, Heeligans, on both the YouTube Digital Studio chat line. Search 1010XL on YouTube. Leave a comment in the chat line there. We also do have the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures open and ready to go. 904-641-1010 is the number to reach us at. From 586 off the text line. In the Kirk deal, actually smart having a divisional rival carry the burden of paying a relatively high contract for a player you deem not worthy of that check anymore. The Engram release was a bit of a head-scratcher, but with Richard Angulo, the tight ends coach, still on staff, maybe there's something more with last year's decline than we know. I don't believe that to be the case, 586. I would simply say the decision to say goodbye to Evan Engram comes from once you released Christian Kirk, Evan had the next highest cap number, so thus would have been the highest paid player on the roster. And going along with our conversation we've now had since Wednesday when Gus Logue joined us, when the news of Christian Kirk's pending release first broke live on our program, Taylor, we talked about it then, this idea of positional, like being limited in terms of what positions you can play. And when I say that, like, that is not a knock per se on Christian Kirk or Evan Engram. Yeah. The reality is, though, is that with Evan Engram being a more flex tight end, if you see him on the football field, if he's one of the 11 players lined up opposite you, you got a pretty good idea that he's going to be lined up in order to catch the ball, as opposed to being in line to be a blocker, line up at the fullback position, inline blocker, a variety of different facets of the game that another tight end who is a more traditional tight end could bring you. I don't think that is to say that, Liam Cohen's going to go out and sign 3 blocking tight ends, and that's the goal right now. I don't think that's the case. I think it stems more from the same reason, and Gus and I went into depth on this on Thursday's Duval Rundown podcast episode, the same reason that Christian Kirk was said goodbye to, because of positional limited, how do we want to put this? Limited positional flexibility. While we believe, and we've seen Christian Kirk go both inside and outside, he is traditionally a slot wide receiver in the traditional mold. Yeah. He is not one of these new age slot wide receivers or do-it-all wide receivers in the mold of Brian Thomas Jr., Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua. We go on down the line, who can both operate inside and outside, and that is what the Jaguars need in this new offensive system, in the same vein that they need tight ends who can do a little bit of everything and not just be on the field solely to be a bigger slot receiver.
Yeah, it's a little funny to me because I feel like the last 2 years, everybody has just been like, oh, haha, people make fun of us for Christian Kirk, and now you trade him for a 6th, and it's fine. So I feel like everybody's gone back and forth between this of when they're your guys, you're defending them, and then now all of a sudden they're worth that sandwich. But the more interesting fact to me, and we knew some of these things were coming, and we've been talking about, are both of these guys gone? Are one going to be gone? The interesting side to me is that these are 2 guys that have been Trevor Lawrence's safety blankets the last couple years, and when these 2 guys haven't been on the field, it's been ugly. That worries me a little bit because Trevor Lawrence is one of those quarterbacks right now, and maybe this can change under Liam Cohen, and once the scheme changes and you can run the ball and all of these other things coming in, and now year 2 BTJ, maybe some of this changes, but it worries me that when they were not on the field, Trevor looked lost a lot of times, and you're taking away his 2 biggest securities and most things he was most confident in getting the ball to, and you're taking both of them away in one offseason. That worries me a little bit. I do think that it is interesting that these guys too are ones that have been like the locker room kind of anchors in the locker room a lot. We talk about Evan Engram in that sense. So we will see, but it is, when we talk about it's a business, and Liam Cohen and Gladstone are evaluating this roster of players that and we talked about this yesterday, players they want here for a while. Not, hey, can we put some patches over some things and Trevor needs his security blanket. We can't. They're not looking at it like that. They're saying, hey, we need to build this roster to win games, and we can win games. You just got to make some moves.
And that's why a couple more off the text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures, one of our friends in Indiana. I respect Mia's take on the Kirk trade, but I wonder if the 2026 7th is worth the optics of trading within the division, or if the trade would fuel Kirk more when he plays us twice a year. I can tell you this, 574, that is the furthest thing from James Gladstone's mind.
Oh, yeah.
The days of worrying about optics and what people are saying on Twitter and hurt feelings and healing, those days are out the window, folks. The sooner you accept that, the better. One more from 264. Got to turn the page. Kirk and Engram demanded a lot of targets that are better off going to BTJ and Strange. Wonder how they feel about Tyler Warren.
That's going to be a name we're going to start talking about now. I guarantee you there's going to be mocks coming up that have Tyler Warren there. And I do think that these moves that have been made between the Mitch Morse, between Evan Engram, between Christian Kirk, that opens up a lot of that conversation around pick number 5 now. Because before, I think everybody was pretty much like, Mason Graham, unless Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter fall, Mason Graham. It was the pretty much consensus pick of that. But these moves, honestly, have switched things a little bit in that sense.
I also think it's interesting that this is considered one of the most historically deep tight end classes. I mean, does that play a role as well? As much as, yes, Tyler Warren is at the top of that list.
Yeah.
And he is someone who can do a little bit of everything. I mean,
yeah.
You could line him up at running back, and
Yeah.
you could line him up at wide receiver, and he probably could be a 6th offensive lineman if you wanted him to as well.
Yeah.
But also knowing that offensive line hole that we referenced, that now there are 2 gaping holes with Mitch Morse's retirement yesterday, and, of course, Brandon Scherf, a pending free agent that the Jags are probably going to say goodbye to.
Yeah.
Do you prioritize those holes and then you address tight end later because the depth of this class give you that luxury?
Yeah, and I'm still of trenches. I'm still full on trenches in my head, just because I think that this is something that I'm not going to abandon that because of some moves. And obviously, if we still have free agency, we'll start seeing some things if they address some of these positions, and maybe that shifts things. But right now, I still say offensive line, and because I think you need 4 guys total, at least 2 on the offensive line and 2 on the defensive line to make this something where I'd be confident going into the season. So to me, I'm still heavy on trenches right now, personally.
We are live at TPC Sawgrass. The Players Championship just days away. Opening weekend is here. Yes, you can come on site. You can take photos on 17. You can try the 17th challenge where we are broadcasting live from. And, of course, you can pop in to the Players Championship fan shop. You can buy everything. Buy it all now, folks. Get here early. That's what Taylor Pettit with the Pro Shop just said to me. Make sure you get on out here and check out all of the American-made local brands that are new this year, and oh so much more. We have a whole lot to do here on Helmets and Heels. 3 guests to get to. Let's get ready to say hello to one of them. Coming up next on the other side, right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Call 904-500-COOL. Ideal Conditions.
Want to support a locally and veteran-owned company? If you need a new AC, we should be your first and only call. Ideal Conditions keeps you cool. Just ask your AC. Call 904-500-COOL or visit idealconditionsjax.com.
Call 904-500-COOL.
Honk if you see us. Call for service.
Ideal Conditions.
idealconditionsjax.com.
Value or flavor? Price or taste? Why choose when you can get both with everyday deals at Sonny's? Right now, you can get the pork big deal for $10, the pork and rib combo for $12, and all you can eat ribs for just $19.99. Yep, you heard right. All your favorites are now available all day, every day. And that's why it's always Sonny's here. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
Baloo here for Smoonez Vision. Why Smoonez Vision? Well, I've been with Dr. Neil Smoonez now since I got back to Jacksonville in 2006. 37 years of experience he has. Smoonez Vision is a family organization that focuses on personal high-quality medical and surgical eye care. Dr. Catherine Smoonez is fellowship-trained in cornea and cataract surgery and all refractive surgery. Combined, that's 30 years plus in laser eye surgery. Visit SmoonezVision.com today. Care you can see.
Out with the old, in with the organized. Mia here, whether you're tackling overflowing closets, a messy garage, or an unorganized pantry, Closets by Design will create a custom storage system that helps you breeze through spring season stress and mess-free. Spring on this deal before it's gone. 40% off any order of $1,000 or more. 30% off any order of $700 to $1,000. Plus an additional 15% off with 18-month special financing. Hey, did I mention free installation on any order of $850 or more? Call Closets by Design today. 1-800-293-3744.
Find the Celt in you. March 9 and 10 at the St. Augustine Celtic Music and Heritage Festival with Celtic bands, Highland Games, St. Patrick's Parade and more. CelticStAugustine.com. Sponsored by St. John's County TDC.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation, light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to CarlsonDentalGroup.com. That's CarlsonDentalGroup.com for all of your dental needs.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. If you're dreaming of putting in a pool this year, choosing the right company is the most important decision you'll make. I've trusted Stanley Pools to build my pool, renovate my pool, and maintain my pool. Stanley Pools has been the best in the business since 1988, and they're still family-owned. Call them today at 904-269-7277 or find them online at StanleyPoolsFL.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
You can't go inside your home team's locker room, so Jags beat reporter Hayes Carline goes there for you.
Work on three, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Hayes Carline here. Find my blog at 1010XL.com.
Brought to you by Roland Reach Plumbing, where quality and experience count.
Lots of jewelry stores in the town center, but only one is locally owned, Beard's Diamonds.
We're the only local jewelry store at the town center.
That's Jacksonville's John Lupo, owner of Beard's for over 4 decades.
We're entrenched in Jacksonville, Florida.
In a sea of mega chain jewelers, John says it's easy to stand out because he's not handcuffed by a corporate handbook.
I am not beholden to a corporate structure, so we've got flexibility to do whatever we can and want, and we do.
And that includes lowering prices to undercut them every day.
Quality for quality, color for color, everything the same. We should be able to beat them hands down by minimum 20%. We go overseas ourselves. We know exactly what we're buying. This isn't getting marked up in a corporate structure. We will beat anybody's price anywhere.
So before you buy anything at one of those chains, get a second opinion at locally owned Beard's Diamonds. No corporate atmosphere, no corporate rules, no corporate high markups.
We want you to come shop us and you'll see a lot better price here.
Beard's Diamonds.
Everybody gets a good deal at Beard's.
Tired of weekend projects turning into weekend disasters? You're not alone. Building a fence isn't as easy as it looks. Let's face it, your neighbor Steve still hasn't fixed his lopsided masterpiece. But Superior Fence and Rail makes it easy. Highly trained professionals, top quality materials, and a fence you'll love for years to come. Skip the stress and call the pros today.
SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
Transform your bathroom with stunning shower glass from Sky Glass Solutions in Jacksonville Beach. For a free quote, call 904-608-5151 or visit skyglasssolutions.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Here's what we got cooking. We are live. TPC Sawgrass. RJ, you didn't have to shut the music off so quickly. Come on. It's a party out here at TPC. Come on. It's the Players Championship opening weekend now. We are at the 17th challenge. Mia O'Brien, Taylor Dahl, producer extraordinaire RJ Saunders back at 1010XL World Headquarters, engineer extraordinaire John O'Leary, keeping us afloat here live at the 17th challenge. It's a mini 17 island green, if you may. So stop on by, try your hand at that. The fan shop is open. It has now been relayed to us, and we're going to confirm this during our next break, but we're going to have a trio of heavy hitters in the 1 o'clock hour. If you're looking for the very latest nationally when it comes to the NFL draft, prospects, the latest storylines, or if you want updates on the Players' Championship, that's coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. Miranda Rossum at 1 o'clock. Ross Tucker at now 1:15. Dalton Wasserman at 1:30 of PFF. And so we now, here at 12:19 Eastern Time, Taylor Dahl, pivot to our series that we've been visiting each and every day this week. Lauren Brooks is on vacation, by the way. I probably should have mentioned that one off the top. Excited to welcome her back on Monday. In Lawrence,
doesn't it feel like it's been like 2 weeks?
It's
Just because so much has happened.
years. I mean, as we're joking about, like, every time I go for a run or go to yoga, like the Jags break
Something
news,
happens,
I
yeah.
feel like every time Lauren goes on
It's
vacation.
true.
I mean, Trent Baalke got fired the last time she went on vacation. So, I mean, she tries to deny it, but I don't think there's any denying it at this point in time. So we do pivot now to our series we've been examining this week. The 3 prospects, not necessarily, Taylor, our top 3 prospects at the position across the board, but the 3 prospects at certain positions that best fit the Jaguars. We've already run through offensive line. We've run through defensive tackle. We did the secondary yesterday. So kick us off as we look at this year's wide receiver crop. Pretty timely, given the release and then trade of Christian Kirk and, of course, the release of Evan Engram as well.
Yeah, so I'm going to start with one that I've recently seen possibly wide receiver one over Ted McMillan. And this is a Matthew Golden. Matthew Golden, obviously ex-outside wide receiver. I've seen a lot of comps of him to Jalen Waddle. I'm a big Jalen Waddle fan personally, and I was coming into the draft and out of the draft also. But this guy, Matthew Golden, just a straight-up birder type of guy, advanced route running, has a natural pass catcher. But one of the things that sticks out to me, and you hear people talk about a lot, is the fact that he can adjust on the fly so quickly on getting some of those off-target throws. And look, I'm not a big Quinn Ewers fan, so I was going to kind of joke of saying all of those Ewers off-target throws that he had to adjust and try and catch. But, yeah, he's just that guy that if something maybe doesn't go as planned, or in situations when Ewers had to get the ball out quicker and it wasn't quite the placement where you wanted it, he was so good and quick in his feet and when it comes to making those adjustments and getting the ball. I do think that he can still be a deep threat, or he can be a deep threat right away. I really feel like coming out of the draft day one, he'd be able to be that deep threat guy. And I think that it's not just that straight speed that he has either, which I think is a good thing. We see some of these guys that are just that straight line speed, and that's fine. That works in certain situations. But this guy's just quick in every aspect, and like I said, making those adjustments, but also being able to be that straight line deep threat guy also.
What's most interesting to me, Taylor, when it comes to Matthew Golden, who, of course, had the fastest 40-yard dash time of any wide receiver, an official 4.29 at the Combine last week. That 4.29 was followed after his teammate, Alabama transfer Isaiah Bond, went on the record and said he would run in the 4.1s. And maybe he said that in jest because no one has ever run in the 4.1s at the NFL Scouting Combine. But what that said to me, and I don't want to make this comparison because I think it's unfair, but I do think it's justified a little bit in this situation. Matthew Golden transferred from Houston. Isaiah Bond transferred from Alabama. We'll put that off to the side. I think that can live on its own. Matthew Golden's head coach, Steve Sarkisian, was on the broadcast last week. Their director of ops was in the booth, and they were both stunned. They couldn't believe it. I did not get a chance to speak to Matthew Golden personally, but from all reports and everything I've heard, he is the quieter guy compared to Isaiah Bond. That sounds a lot to me like last year in the NFL draft cycle when Brian Thomas Jr. was the quiet, unsung hero, albeit with the most receiving touchdowns of anyone in college football in 2023, compared to Malik Neighbors, who was the chattier of the two wide receivers. And so I say this to the comp and the fit, I should say, with the Jags. I agree. I think he's a great fit. But what I'm curious about is BT, we've seen, once he got on the field, once he started making plays and started picking up some confidence, he has no issue talking a little smack, has that competitive edge. But to have two guys who are a little bit more on the reserve side.
Yeah.
Be your number one,
One and
number
two.
two wide receiver. If they're both ballers, I don't think it matters.
Yeah.
But I do want to see somebody maybe do
A little more spark.
a little more edge.
Yeah.
A little more edge. And that's no knock on Matthew Golden, because like I said, he's a great player.
Yeah.
If you draft him, you're drafting him to be a compliment to Brian Thomas Jr., and I think he could be.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the irony is not lost
I know.
on me.
Yeah.
Of
It is
that
fitting, and
parallel.
I thought of that immediately when we were talking about number one, just the way that people are talking about certain wide receivers over Matthew Golden, which is what we got with BTJ last year, but also that quiet aspect, because a lot of people were talking about him in that world. But if you can play, I'm here for it. But yeah, I agree. I think you would need some sort of spark when it comes to a slot guy or a tight end. Then you need someone who'd run their mouth a little bit.
I will also pull from the LSU tree, and I will take the low-hanging fruit. I will take Jack Betch, wide receiver, by way of LSU. TCU, where he wrapped up his collegiate career. Of course, he began his career at LSU with Brian Thomas Jr., with Mason Smith, with Jordan Jefferson. The list goes on. He actually led the Tigers in receptions in 2021 with 43, 489 yards, 11.4 yards per reception. I think that's an underrated storyline when we talk about Jack Betch, who I know I've exhausted, I feel like, his entire profile ad nauseum. Look, he is the Cooper Kupp clone. For everyone on the text line right now, for everyone driving around Duval who's clamoring for the Jaguars to trade or once he's outright released, sign Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
Why would you do that when you can sign or excuse me, when you can draft his rookie, like his clone in this year's draft? And so Jack Betch is 6'1", has the ability to go inside or outside, 214 pounds. He did not run the 40-yard dash at the combine. He did jump 34.5 inches in the vertical, 10.5 in the broad, a 4.21 20-yard shuttle. Did put up 19 presses on the bench as well, 31.5-inch arms. Ultimately, with Betch, it comes down to he is what the modern slot receiver looks like.
Yeah.
He can succeed and win one-on-one in both press man and zone coverage.
Yep.
He can give you that flexibility. He's a willing blocker. Yes, he's not as explosive. He's not necessarily the speed demon of Matthew Golden.
Yeah.
I think that, and the boys on Duval Rundown, Gus and Hacker, had a really interesting discussion about that this morning. You are still going to need that speed guy on the outside because Gabe Davis and his 4.5 speed is not going to give you that. You are going to need that speed on the outside to not only complement BTJ, but to also open up opportunities in the slot. But at the same time, I'm not so worried about an explosive first step when it comes to this is your guy who not only is the Cooper Kupp clone, he replaces not only Christian Kirk, but Evan Engram as well.
Yeah. No, I love that one. And you've said that name several times this week, even just
Ad
off
nauseum.
So
Ad nauseum.
that is a name that obviously we're all going to be following along. And to your point of now that when we're talking about that Cooper Kupp conversation, which, yes, I think that Cooper Kupp's one of the guys when he's on the football field is one of those the better slot guys in the NFL. He also has had a lot of injury issues, so you have to start to take into account that now that James Gladstone and company have gotten rid of some of these guys who have had those injury issues now, and so to me, I think that's something they will keep an eye on. So if you could bring a young guy in here who can do the same thing and fits the same mold, and you feel like we'll be jumping on the field pretty quickly too, then yeah, I feel like that's a no-brainer. My number two, I'm going to go. There's two Iowa State guys that I was trying to decide between. I like both of them, but I'm going to stick with Jaden Higgins. He is another outside X wide receiver. Some of the best traits that you are talking about when it comes to him are ones that we need here in Jacksonville, and that's the route running ability. It's also his ability to create separation. But in that ability to create separation, he has some of the best hands in college football. He only had a 3% drop rate on 350 targets. He hardly ever dropped the ball, and I think that's something that obviously has haunted the Jacksonville Jaguars, of those drops, whatever it is. Even we've talked the storylines of guys come in here that never had drop issues and somehow have them, and then we've had guys that have always had drop issues and still continue to have drop issues. So you want a guy with sure hands, and if you're talking, Jaden Higgins is one of the guys that I've heard has some of the surest hands, if not the surest hands, in this draft of these in this round of wide receivers this year. He's not super fast, but they talk about him being able to create separation at all levels. They also say he can be an immediate contributor, which I think is right now, if you're the Jaguars, that's what you're staring at.
I will, with my second wide receiver in this matchmaking game. Again, we are going through position by position, the three best fits for the Jaguars, not not necessarily the top 3 players at each position that Taylor and I have ranked, but the top 3 fits for the Jaguars, which if you have your top 3, hit us up on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures at 904-641-1010. I will go for my second pick, Taylor, with a name that I know I mentioned on the Duval Rundown podcast. I believe I've mentioned it on here as well. Isaac Tesla out of Arkansas began his career at the D2 level. He, again, is a bigger slot guy. Barely drops the ball, did not have a single drop his final season at Arkansas. Yes, the production wasn't what a lot of people hoped that it would be, but ultimately for me, again, this is someone who comes in and he not only replaces the production of Christian Kirk in the slot, but he replaces the production of Evan Engram as well. It's a 2-for-1. It's BOGO, if you may. And I think that, you know, a lot of people expected after his Senior Bowl performance where he was among the top performers, people expected him to test well at the combine. I don't know if anyone expected him to run a 4.43.
Yeah.
I've heard from at least one Healigan that they're panicked because he went to Arkansas and he looks like Matt Jones. Okay, sorry. It's been 15, 20
There's
years.
just trauma.
I don't know what
we
to tell
have so
you.
much trauma in this city.
6'4", 214, 31 and an 1/8-inch arms, 10-inch hands. Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I do have one more, and I will hit him quickly here before we hear your third, Taylor, just because I've heard from a couple Healigans on X, on Twitter, that this is a guy we should be talking about, especially when I made the argument on Duval Rundown yesterday that Tesla is a Puka Nacua clone. Nick Nash out of San Jose State is someone who has literally identical testing scores and measurables to Nacua when he was coming out of BYU 2 years ago. A little bit slower, again. Speed for me is not the utmost importance, although I do think the Jags are going to have to add someone who does give them that element. Or what do we say? We're not saying traits anymore.
Yeah.
We're saying characteristics. Someone who, sorry to the heel again, who doesn't want to hear traits. Someone who has that characteristic. Nick Nash ran a 4.57 at the combine, so he's not a speed demon. He's going to be like 25 or 26 years old. He's a former quarterback, though, dual threat. He, again, much like Puka, he can come off jet sweeps. He's a willing blocker. Great ball skills. I think that that's a common theme between the three. And the drops, I know, for whatever the reason, when Christian Kirk was traded yesterday, I saw all over Twitter, I'm sure you did as well, fans calling him out for drops.
Yeah,
I never
that's
really...
why I was saying it was funny earlier in the show.
Right. Like, I never really, like... I don't know. Like,
didn't tie Christian Kirk to drops.
Yeah, that was never like my MO.
Yeah,
like I know
either.
Giants fans feel that way about Evan Engram. But if that's your MO, I'm happy to report that the three names I've given you had some of the best pass catch rate in college football last year. So do with that what you will.
So my third is going to be Jalen Royals out of Utah State. He's one of the guys that yak. That's what type of wide receiver he is. I think that's something that we've also been lacking here in Jacksonville too. He was top 20 in college football when it came to forcing missed tackles. So he's one of those guys that once he gets the ball, he can create a ton more yards after catch, and I think that's something that you want to be able to see. The other thing about him too, he's super versatile. In college, he lined up outside. He would play outside. He would also play slot. The terminology I'm seeing a lot of people associate with him is that he's a chess piece. And that is exactly what I think we need here too. Guys that you know you can throw on the outside if you need to, that can play slot. They're guys that have blocked. You want guys to be able to create those yards after catch too, because it's just something that I feel like here, that's why we haven't seen a ton of it. Brian Thomas Jr. I feel like gave us a little bit of that year, but more so he was just burning guys. Like they didn't even have the chance to catch him. This guy more so he'll get those 50-50 contested and then get more yards after that catch. So somebody I like a lot, and I've heard a lot of people start to talk about more when it comes to being that you can play him wherever you want.
4.42 speed. It's interesting that most of the write-ups say he's not explosive. Because I don't know, if you run a 4.4, I'd say you're pretty explosive. Out of Utah State. So again, if anybody wants to knock the small schools, that's on you. I agree. I think he's a baller, and I think it'll be fascinating to see what he does in the rest of the pre-draft process. Who are your three matches for the Jacksonville Jaguars at wide receiver in this year's crop via the NFL Draft? Hit us up at 641-1010 or the YouTube Digital Studio. Again, just search 1010XL and leave us your three names there. Hef has left a name that I actually was debating, Taylor. I was debating including. Instead, I went with let me find the Puka Nacua Cooper Kupp clone or replacement. Jameer DK.
Oh, yeah.
Out of Florida. The Wisconsin transfer.
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised with his performance at Florida last year. And obviously the connection there is, well known, certainly, with him and Graham Mertz. But at the same time, he was a guy who was among the top 40-yard tops in the 40-yard dash at the combine last week.
Yeah.
Someone who has more speed. He's probably going to go on late day 3. What's his name? Jordan Worthington out of Texas is a name that for me immediately popped into my head because that's someone the Rams took late last year.
Yeah.
Liam Cohen was not with the Rams last year. James Gladstone certainly was. Bigger bodied possession wide receiver, can get up and go and get it on the slot fade in the red zone. And so I did think about that name. So it's interesting, Hef, that you said DK as well. Keep those other names coming. Again, YouTube Digital Studio as well as the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. The Terminex Pest of the Day is coming up next right here on Helmets and Heels live from the Players Championship opening weekend.
Where electrifying moments come to life.
Inside of a minute to play.
And legendary performances live.
A monumental milestone in a legendary career.
1010XL. The power of Jacksonville Sports Radio.
Don't miss the Players Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scotty Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
Hi, I'm Michael Bryan with 5 Star Veteran Center. Thank you to the players for supporting our mission of housing and assisting veterans in need and giving them the tools and confidence to reintegrate into society. Just 4 days to the players.
Texting enrolls you into reoccurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text ORDER to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text ORDER to 42424. That's ORDER to 42424.
Mia here for Pro Jax Roofing. Here on the Superstation, we talk a lot about pros. Pro football, pro baseball, pro basketball, pro sports. But if you want a true pro when it comes to your roof, you should call Mike with Pro Jax Roofing. Mike has been in the roofing biz for well over 25 years, and when you call, you don't get some recording. You get Mike himself. Find Mike's cell phone on ProJaxRoofingFL.com. That's ProJaxRoofingFL.com. Don't rely on the third stringer. Call in the starter with Mike at Pro Jax Roofing.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe, and I want to talk to you about not looking at the rear-view mirror of unforgiveness. It's so easy to keep looking in the past when someone has hurt or offended us. What we don't realize is that if we keep looking at the rear-view mirror of anger, it will cause us to miss out on the good things that God has in store right in front of us. Friends, looking in the rear-view mirror of the past will never give you peace in the present.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On March 7, 1966, NBA legend Magic Johnson is the second NBA player to reach 10,000 career assists, doing so in the Lakers' victory over the Sacramento Kings.
Don here from Taco Lou. Now that football is out of the way and the weather is getting nicer, it's time for more golf. Well, for me anyway. But if you love golf and you love tacos, you come see us out at 12. Tacos on 12, that is every day at the Players Championship. We're celebrating 12 years out on the golf course this year, and man, we love it. And the Lou crew is looking forward to it. So much so that we're even open at the restaurant on Monday during tournament week. So no one will miss out on a banging shrimp or two. We'll see you live at the Players at Taco Lou in Jacksonville Beach.
Hey folks, Hicken here for Zero Res. You're going to want to beat the spring cleaning rush and call our cleaning heroes at Zero Res. This month, get one room Zero Resified starting at $53. Hey, and take $100 off your air duct cleaning. Don't forget about your air ducts. Your air ducts sort of like the lungs of your home. If they're dirty, your indoor air quality suffers. Visit ZeroResJacksonville.com. Tell them Dan or 1010XL sent you. Spell it forwards or backwards. Zero res. It's the right way to clean.
Zero res.
If you suffer from constant burning, tingling, or numbness in your hands or feet, it could be a serious condition called neuropathy. I'm Dr. Nathan Riddle, DC with Riddle Wellness in Ponte Vedra. Neuropathy is treatable, and we have seen great results by using state-of-the-art, non-invasive therapies to target damaged nerves, reduce symptoms, and improve nerve function. Call 904-395-5598 to schedule your free consultation today and learn how you can live pain-free. Call 904-395-5598.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Dempsey, and I only like to recommend the best, which is why I'm proud to say that I chose Pella Windows and Doors for my own home. And now's a great time to upgrade your home with 0% financing for 60 months. That's 5 years of interest-free payments on the best windows and doors in the business. Don't wait. Schedule a free consultation at PellaJacks.com or visit their showroom on Phillips Highway just north of Bay Meadows. For quality you can trust and savings you can't miss, that's Pella Windows and Doors.
This is Hayes Carline here to help you break free from the chains of pest infestation. The talk of this town is Kingfish Pest Control. By now, many of your neighbors have already joined the Kingfish Revolution, leaving their homes and lawns protected and pest-free. Now it's your turn. Call Kingfish Pest Control and say goodbye to termites, ants, mosquitoes, and other annoying pests. Trust me, you'll get exceptional service and understand why your neighbors and I use Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jaguars.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
You are looking live if you're watching live on YouTube, Facebook, X. If you're driving around your car listening on the radio, hello. Welcome to the Players' Championship opening weekend. Mia O'Brien, Taylor Dahl, Helmets and Heels live from the 17th Challenge. That is the Mini 17. Only 35 yards, not the 176, 167. Dyslexia working at play here.
Coach Dempsey said this one's harder.
Okay. I will take his word for it. Again, I said a couple of you on the text line, at least a few of you Heeligans will judge me because when I have played TPC Sawgrass, I try to, if all else fails, Taylor, if I pull a 5-wood, then at least I guarantee I'm going to end up on the other hill, opposite the island green.
Oh, yeah.
It has to be dry, right? Like, that's the theory. It's never actually dry. I think I'm just more so like the embarrassment of coming up short.
Yeah.
And so I'm afraid to pull iron. One of these days.
Yeah.
One of these days I will. Taylor's not afraid of nothing, though. She's got something bugging her.
Now, Lauren's Terminix Pest of the Day.
All right, so this one is a little different, but I was reading this story and it just bothered me for some reason because this is that time of year we just saw the Jaguars that start releasing, start trading. We start hearing rumors of people that are requesting trades and all of these sorts of storylines that are going around. And so one of the recent a couple pieces of news that have happened recently both involve the Seattle Seahawks also when it comes to Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. Some of these reports that are coming out of that camp seems like Seattle is not too happy with DK Metcalf, apparently. So he wants out of Seattle. He said that. But this news was released just after the Tyler Lockett being released news came up. And so reportedly, the Seahawks are upset that DK Metcalf and his camp decided to release that information right after the Tyler Lockett trade. And so this is they're my pest because, first of all, how many times on your side of things are you going to say, it's just a business? Like, sorry.
We've said it at least twice on this program.
Sorry, Tyler Lockett, we're going to release you, but no, DK, you can't say that you want out.
Or at least don't say it in the public eye. The optics.
But, and reportedly, it's been now weeks where DK and the Seattle Seahawks have been meeting to try and figure things out, and they just were not coming to any conclusions. So his camp leaked this information. It just so happened to be right near the Tyler Lockett news also. But it frustrates me because I feel like if you are going to do this, you're going to do this every single year where you're going to call it just a business and you're going to release players and trade players when they don't want to be. But then when a player's camp comes out and is looking out for their best interest, it's a problem.
Yeah, it's Hilarious, given that I was just arguing with a hooligan on the text line about how optics and, I went back and forth about, the idea of, I'm trying to find which hooligan it was, but it just basically the back and forth of, these teams, do they really want to, come off a certain way and this, that, and the other? And I was like, no, from everything we've heard from James Gladstone and Liam Cohen, and certainly Tony Baselli, they do not care.
Yeah.
They do not care what you think. They are, here it is. Fair take, this is from 574, our friend in Indiana. I don't mean so much the optics of the Jags fan base. We ultimately won't care so long as the team wins, as whether any feathers were ruffled in the locker room. This was with regards to the trade of Christian Kirk, the release of Evan Engram. He then says, i.e. Josh Hines-Allen's first tweet after the trade. Yeah. Which, look, I saw it. I also saw his second tweet.
Yeah.
I also saw plenty of people joking about it online.
Yeah.
People are going to get mad online, whether they're Joe Schmo driving around in their car or if they are one of the highest paid edge rushers in the National Football League and a cornerstone of this franchise. It's going to happen. And I agree, but it's so hard for me to separate the two. Because I can't believe we just started the program with one argument, and then Taylor points out that, no, these NFL teams do care about optics.
Yeah, and I think some care more than others, and I think that also certain situations bother certain general managers, et cetera, a little bit more than maybe others. The difference, I think, right here now in Jacksonville, obviously, is the fact that this is new guys. They don't have attachments to these people, and we've been talking about it for a few weeks now. They aren't looking at this like Trevor Lawrence is losing his friend. Their kids are going to be friends, and they don't care about that. I'm sorry, they don't. They're just they want to win football games, multiple football games. They want to make it to the playoffs. They want to get to a Super Bowl, and I think that sometimes as fans, and this is why I've been going over this storyline too, of the fact of you have to make difficult decisions. I do not think the Evan Engram decision, or probably even the Christian Kirk decision, was easy for James Gladstone and Liam Cohen and Tony Baselli, especially maybe Tony Baselli, because he's been here the last few years close to this and has seen what Christian Kirk and Evan have been for Trevor Lawrence. But I don't think those were decisions where they were like, oh, hands down, this is easy. Ronald Darby, maybe. They probably watched tape from last year and was like, this is awful, get him away. But the other two, I genuinely think they probably had to sit down and really think about a lot of things and what this offense is going to look like next year, what they can get in free agency in the draft. They're already evaluating all of those things. So in their minds, they already have players in their minds that they like, that can come and fill in these positions right away. And that's where we're not in that room hearing those conversations.
I also don't think it's vindictive either. I saw many people who wanted to suggest that Gladstone is taking a torch to this roster because this is what Trent Baalke built. No, he's doing this because
he built something that sucks.
Right, and he believes that there's a better way to build the Jaguars. I don't think this is intentionally being done to hurt feelings or light fires under anyone's tushy. That's not what this is. Yeah. That part of it, in the words of Yannick Ngakoue, business is business.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
The team won 4 football games. There's no way that you can tell me. And honestly, even preseason, Mia, when you and I were going through the AFC South, and we were ranking our players of, who's our top running backs, who's the top wide receivers, and just the division. And it was taking us a bit of time in each position group to get to players that were the Jags. And I feel like once you start doing that, even preseason, and we had hope on some. We had hope. Obviously, Brian Thomas Jr. was the one that probably we were all the most impressed with. But we had hope with an Andre Sisco, and we had hope that Travis Etienne would have this year. And we had hope on some of these other guys that they could be ranked in those. And by the end of the season, they just weren't. And so they're coming in here with fresh eyes looking at this and saying this team won 4 games. They're also in the last, what is it?
Well, yeah.
In the last 23 games, they're 5-18 or something like that.
I was going to say
There's
that.
a lot of losing.
BCB Couch on X had the best tweet last night. How will the Jags replace all these players that have contributed to a combined 5-22 record since Thanksgiving of 2023?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, what are we going to do?
What are we going to do without Devin Duvernay? What are we going to do without Ronald? What are we going to do without Josh Reynolds, Taylor?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
What is
devastating?
What will the city of Jacksonville do? I don't know. They jumped out to an 8-3 record without Arden Key, right?
Yeah.
So maybe the city can be saved.
Yeah, I guess I could have probably picked some specific tweets yesterday that I was so confused of. Why are you guys getting upset over moves on people that literally have contributed to only 5 wins? And but yeah, that is why the pest of the day is the Seattle Seahawks, but that does trickle into maybe some of the things that have been going on here in Jacksonville. And I think that it's something that obviously we're going to continue to see moves being made, but I did want to remind people that Terminix handles the pest control for all of your favorite event venues. That's Everbank Stadium, Daly's Place, 5-Star Financial Ballpark, Veterans, 5-Star Veterans Memorial Arena, and many more. If you have any pest or termite issues, visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com.
I also realized I didn't ask you, because we led, of course, with Christian Kirk and Evan Engram. I didn't even ask you as far as Josh Reynolds, Ronald Darby, Devin Duvernay, your feelings on that one, Taylor. But I think
goodbye.
I think you've answered that one.
I truly could not stand. I didn't like the Ronald Darby signing when it happened. Everybody else, because they had some. I remember somebody from the organization. I want to say the Frangie Show had somebody on, and they were like, "Oh, he's so underrated." And I was like, there was nothing. There was nothing that I saw from any time of Ronald Darby that I enjoyed. And then he came here, and that pretty much played out perfectly of how I expected it to.
Our final hour of the week, sans one Lauren Brooks, who is on vacation, is about to be epic, folks. Our friend Miranda Rossum of the Players Championship is standing by, going to update us on the very latest for any and everyone heading out to TPC next week. Then we hear from Ross Tucker, talk a little offensive line in this year's NFL draft crop. Then Dalton Wasserman of PFF. It is going to be a crazy, exciting, thrilling hour to get you set for the Players Championship next week and all our coverage that is to come, not only on the air, but of course on the social and video channels of 1010XL as well. Helmets and Heels continues right after this. Come on back for more.
First of all, real life is hard. Second of all, the sporting life is fun. You're absolutely right. 1010XL, adding a little fun to real life.
Are you thinking about a pool for your home? Blue Haven Pools is Jacksonville's largest pool builder. They've built pools for over 20,000 satisfied families since 2000. It's never been easier to design the perfect pool for your home, family, and budget. Call Blue Haven Pools today at 904-620-0090 to get a free in-home estimate for your in-ground pool, or visit bluehaven.com. Don't let another summer pass by without a pool. Join thousands of happy Jacksonville pool owners in a Blue Haven pool.
David Garrard here. I've had the PRP treatment from Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, and my knees are really doing well. Platelet-rich plasma treatment may be the answer for whatever is hurting you.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
My son had a meniscus surgery a couple years ago. When it's smooth as silk, Dr. Kevin Murphy did it. Was playing tennis in 2 weeks. This is Patrick Malarkey, and I highly recommend
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
It's that time again. The Ready, Set, Go sales event is back and going on now at Arlington Toyota. Now's the time to make the most of Ready, Set, Go savings, because the Arlington Toyota lot is jam-packed with inventory. That's over 800 vehicles to choose from. What kind of savings are there? I'm glad you asked. Just announced 0% on select new Toyota models that have been extended. 0%. And that means now's the time to save on the new Toyota you really want. And come on, admit it. You know you look good in a new truck. So get ready, set, go, and get yours today with financing as low as 1.99% on select new Toyota trucks. Arlington has over 80 Tacomas and over 75 Tundras available. Plus, you get Arlington's lifetime warranty and 60-day exchange with your new purchase. Don't wait. Let's go and shop the Ready, Set, Go sales event at Arlington Toyota. Now through March 31st. In person on Atlantic Boulevard, just a quarter mile east of 295 or arlingtontoyota.com.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
We're giving away free AC inspections to our wonderful customers who now call and schedule. But you must act today. A deal this good won't last forever. Call 904-862-6769. DuckDuckAC.com. Any required repairs are not included in the inspection.
Get your Irish up. The first St. Patrick Parade was right here in St. Augustine in the year 1601. Join the fun Saturday, March the 8th at 10 a.m. Be sure and wear your green proudly. More at CelticParade.com. Sponsored by St. John's Clinic, TBC.
A lot of companies will tell you they're the best. At Custom Tree Surgeons, they show you every time. Custom Tree Surgeons has built an all-pro team. Every tree service professional has years of experience, continually trained and certified. They know what, when, and how to handle any job. It gets done efficiently and quickly by a team of experts. So for tree trimming, removal, stump grinding, and emergency services, forget any name other than Custom Tree Surgeons. There is no job they can't do better. Go to our website, CustomTreeSurgeons.com. That's CustomTreeSurgeons.com. And let them show you how the job is supposed to get done.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville, and you got really cool things going on right now because there's new product coming in the showroom. Tell everybody about the Aprilia Demo Days.
March 11th and 12th. It's a Tuesday, Wednesday. We're going to have the Aprilia demo truck. We caught them on the way back from Daytona Bike Week. They're going to be there. Come ready to ride.
Tell everybody real quick about Aprilia.
They are a bad Italian motorcycle. Nobody's ever ridden an Italian anything and said that wasn't fun.
Check it out. Cycles of Jacksonville. All the details on their Facebook page.
The flagship station of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Committed to the mission. At Navy Mutual, we're committed to providing high-quality life insurance to members of the military and their families. Because at Navy Mutual, our highest commitment is to you. Visit NavyMutual.org.
For Canine Veterans Day, Navy Mutual would like to salute all active and retired canines that have served our country. Canine Veterans Day has been officially designated as a day to honor these unique members of our military. America salutes you.
Pick it here for Bound 9 Associates, where you'll find Jacksonville's most esteemed eye doctors at each of their locations. After being selected for one of the most competitive ophthalmology fellowships in the world, Dr. Frank Bowden is frequently called upon for his expert opinion. He is currently one of the few cornea and external disease specialists in the area and the founder of Bound 9. Visit Bound 9 Associates today and experience the difference. Bound 9 Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. Call 904-722-1111.
Instant Keys saves the day if you've lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call Instant Keys, 722-1111.
McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update, brought to you by Dogtopia Beach in St. John's Bluff. The Gators basketball team have won 8 of their last 9 games, including 2 top 10 wins on the road over Auburn and Alabama. With 1 game left in the regular season, the chance to earn the number 1 seed in March Madness tournament is still a good possibility for the Gators. Leader of the team, Walter Clayton Jr., says the team isn't focused on seeding, but more on whoever their next opponent is.
I mean, obviously, it's got to be. You know what I'm saying? We think we've done enough. You know, we think we've been winning games, showing who we are. But you know, if it happens, it happens. If it don't, it don't. We're gonna go into the tournament the same mentality, and that's beat whoever in front of us.
The Gators next take on Ole Miss in the O-Dome tomorrow night. Tip off at 6. You can hear the game live on 1010XL 92.5 FM. It's 70 degrees at 12:56. Time in temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
1 o'clock hour is here, 12:56. Don't worry if you're trying to get somewhere at 1 p.m. on the dot. It is 12:56, but we're excited to kick it off a little bit early with our friend Miranda Rossum of the Players Championship to get us set for not only the Players Championship next week, Miranda, but opening weekend. We led the show with this. Our friend Taylor Pettit with merchandising at the fan shop, he agreed with me. He verified it. The most attended, a line out the door opening weekend at the fan shop here at TPC Sawgrass.
I did my job. Job security.
We did our job. We got the word out there that you could come the 3 days prior to the Players Championship beginning. You could come on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 10 to 4.
10 to 4.
10 to 4, and they were lined up at 9 a.m.
They were lined up to the bridge. I saw grown men running.
Way.
Grown men were running. They wanted the LaFarve hat that, you are so...
Yeah, that I was very blessed to have gotten one ahead of time.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. And we will be modeling in our videos to come that we were lucky enough to style for several of the different brands. We were able to try on some clothes, and those videos will be coming to the 1010XL social channels very soon. But yeah, I said it to Casey Favor, the founder, of course, and it couldn't be more true. I pull in off Palm Valley Road, which general parking, which we're going to go through parking. We're going to go through everything here in the next 10, 15 minutes with Miranda. But in that general parking lot, to pull in at 10:32 and to see over 300 cars. And as I get out my car and I'm walking on site, I see like 6 or 7 grown men with bags full of the Lefavre gear. Lefavre, I know a couple of you guys pronounce it differently. Like, literally with bags of it. And then taking pictures of themselves with it. I was on the phone with our photographer, Jacob Simons, and I said to Jake, I go, my God, like, he's created a monster. And as I say that, a woman pushing a stroller comes up behind me and goes, yes, he did. And I was like, this is insane. This is insane. But it's an American-made local brand, and there's several local brands that you can find in the fan shop.
Yep, Flow Motion too. Yeah, it's really cool. And I think it's, like grown men running, I thought was like the funniest thing in the world. Like I will only run for a fire, so good to them. But
they're running away from things.
They're running for clothes. They're literally running for hats, which there are over 50,000 hats. Taylor informed me in the fan shop.
That's insane. That is absolutely insane. I did a quick walkthrough, but I'm going to go after the show. Boss gave some money for us to spend for the station, but I do want to talk a little bit some of the important stuff. Tickets. Tell us about tickets. What's sold out? What's available? Parking and regular tickets.
Yeah, parking. If you want parking on the weekend, resale. But we still have our ride share presented by Visit Jacksonville. You can take your bike. You can take your golf cart. Carpool, obviously. But still get your weekend tickets. Buy them now. Dynamic pricing. So still
That's that dynamic word.
Buy them early.
We're also not saying the word traits anymore when it comes to NFL draft coverage. We're saying the word characteristics. So dynamic.
Oh, well,
dynamic characteristics.
Okay.
I love it. We know all about the bike and golf cart parking because we also that's another video that's going to be coming to the 1010XL social channels.
We've got different ways to get here.
Yeah, different ways to get here, and you just listed so many of them that will be in that video as well.
Is that a Lefavre helmet?
No, it's not a Lefavre helmet. That is, I think that's from, I forget which bike shop that's from, but no, that is my personal bike helmet. But yes, biking, golf cart parking, both free. The ride share system off ATP, behind the Bulls School, and then, of course, the shuttles as well, which I verified with you. No downtown shuttle this year, just the 3.
In Nocatee.
And just Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Just Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And make sure you check on the website first because not all the shuttles, there's 3 locations, and they don't all run all 3 days.
Okay.
So make sure you check before you go.
Okay. Yeah, so when we're obviously the tickets, get your tickets if you do not have them because that's important. But one of the other things that I think it's a couple years into this, maybe 2-3 years, is the app when it comes to being able to track the golfers and be able to do all of that. All of that's back normal.
Yep.
Okay.
We're still going strong with that. We have a new app too. I think or not new app. It's called Game the Green, which is our way of gamifying, if you will, the 17th hole presented by Comcast Business, which is our big sponsor. But they've gridded out the 17th hole, and you can guess where the next shot's gonna go,
that's cool.
and you can win prizes all throughout the tournament. So download that in advance too. So that's
fun.
One.
That's a whole other element. You can start putting money on that.
Well, you just park your butt on 17 or 16, and while you're just sitting in there in the chalet
some sawgrass splashes.
Just keep scrolling away. Keep scrolling away. I mean, look, I'm always someone who promotes the experience and maybe not being on your phone. And obviously, the Players Championship allows for you to have your phone on site compared to the Masters, which does not. But at the same time, hey, if you're watching the action while watching the action and getting in on the
fan
action,
what they want, we're meeting with them where they're at.
It's the Players Tournament. It's also the Fans Tournament. Miranda Rossum with the PGA Tour Public Relations and Outreach joining us here on Helmets and Heels as we begin the 1 o'clock hour. Other notes that fans need to know, Miranda, before they get on site. Obviously, get here as early as you can, even if you have parking, trying to get on site as efficiently as possible. I know there's going to be lockers as well. Anything else? Clear bag policy.
Clear bag policy. We're cashless, just like every other sporting event. Clear bags. Wear some comfortable shoes. I'm trying to think what else. Wear your sunglasses because it's going to be sunny.
Yep.
Speaking it into existence.
Manifest.
let's see what else. Come hungry. We have over 23 local restaurants on site, and they're all fantastic. Come ready to buy some great merch. And let me see what else. What am I missing?
I heard somebody talking on the Frangie show. There's a new place for fans to view new bleachers.
Yes.
Okay.
We have a new fan bleacher on 10.
Okay.
So we received feedback. We actually read our fan surveys.
Always participate in the players' fan surveys.
I read those. So we received feedback that people were upset by not having a place to congregate anymore. So we brought one of those back. So it's on 10, and it's a great place to go. And it's right by Taco Lou. So Tacos on 12. Just walk right over, and it's great golf over there. And it's kind of a hidden location, like a little hot spot. So it's a good place to hang
like
out.
that. And of course, Taco Lou is now next to Dobell Tequila.
Yeah, so I'm trying to make it a thing. I don't know.
Tacos and tequila.
Well, I'm making it the Fiesta on 12. But.
Fiesta on 12. Okay, well, tacos and tequila on 12. It's the same vibe. Maybe some new vendors that maybe we didn't see in previous years.
Yeah,
Who are some of those local restaurants?
We've got Bagels R Us. So if you're trying to carbo load in the morning, it's a hole-in-one breakfast. I keep saying that too. No one's bought in on that. no one thinks that's funny. I think it's hilarious. And then we have Carolina Jacks, which they're in Riverside.
Some of the best burgers I've ever had.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they're here. We're excited about that. And then joining us on Trucks on 10, we have Hibachi Party, which I am excited for. So that'll be fun.
That sounds like something Kevin would love.
Yes, very much so. I mean, he's excited at the players' preview party today to sample everything that's going to be on site.
Where else can you go? You get a lobster roll and then a hibachi
V's
party.
Pizza.
V's Pizza, and then you wash it all down with a sawgrass splash, and then hopefully you brought some Tums with you.
It's the spot to be. A little bit of maybe the on-course action, Taylor, about the actual golfers that are in the field.
Yeah, it's going to be a stacked course as always. 144 of the world's best golfers. I mean, it's been an incredible season to watch so far. Yeah. It's really been all over the place a little bit.
Is there anybody you're excited to follow along with?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been great to see the international side coming out. I mean, not on a Ryder Cup here. I'd like a little more of the U.S. guys to be winning, but I love seeing Ludwig win. I think that's really cool.
Especially because Ludwig now claims PV as home.
Yeah, he's a hometown hero.
We can claim Ludwig, so I think everybody wins.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see him. Rory's playing great, and I would love to see, our 2019 champion.
I know, we need that Rory
playing that again. And then I think the chance for Scotty Scheffler to have a three-peat.
Another one. I know.
We didn't see it from the Chiefs, but maybe we can get it from Scotty Scheffler.
Said.
Yeah.
I'm much more rooting for that than I was the Chiefs.
Because I think it honestly has gotten lost in the last few weeks, Miranda, and last few months since he did it. Scotty Scheffler was the first ever back-to-back champion of the Players' Championship. Yeah. Yes, he then went on to win the Masters and the number of wins the first 4 months.
Olympian, yeah.
I understand that, but for this event to have someone go back-to-back, and the thought of he could go back-to-back-to-back is incredible. You were at the Cognizant, and obviously Scotty wasn't in the field for the Cognizant, but at the same time, what is the vibe on tour right now? Is the expectation that he is going to pick up where he left off, that Xander will pick up where he left off, or that it's a whole new season?
I mean, I think what's so great about the tour is it's up for grabs any week. Anyone could be a flash in the pan and a rising star. And I think that's what's so great. But then also it's some of these greats every single time. So there's these great players, but I feel like Scotty's overdue. He's kind of been having a lot of these backdoor top 10 finishes and he's just lurking. So I feel like it's a little bit of a ticking time bomb. So I'm excited for him to really come back with a vengeance, if you will. But Xander, to your point, I think I'm excited for him to come back. I'm excited for Rory.
People forget that Xander was right there with Scotty last year before Scotty pulled away on Saturday.
Yeah. It was him, Xander, and then
Wyndham Clark.
Wyndham Clark, and that was the heartbreaking. So I would really like to see him just come back to
Yeah. Have another day. I do want to talk because obviously Tuesday everything will be kicking off with the military appreciation. Share a little bit about that, what to expect. People get here what time? It's 5 o'clock. Is that when it is?
5 o'clock is when the concert kicks off. 4:30 is when the ceremony kicks off.
Okay.
So yeah, if you want to see fighter jets, get there at 4:30. Who doesn't love
I
fiber
know.
chats? So we'll have that kicking off. We have the winner of our national anthem contest,
Oh, fun.
Marvin Zapf, will be kicking us off at 4:30, and we'll have ceremony honoring Vietnam veterans, and we'll have enlistees. We'll have a new, like they're high schoolers, which always just moves
That's
me.
awesome.
Like,
I know.
which makes me feel like crazy to know that was me when, like, you
Yeah.
know, 10 years ago or whatever. But so that's always really cool. And then Jordan Davis will
I know.
be
That'll
kicking
be fun.
off at 5 p.m. And then the next day we're going to turn it around and do the Creator Classic at 4:15. So that'll be fun.
Which I did love, and of course we can end on this. Tickets and parking are still available in case you missed it. And when you actually go on the Players Championship ticket website through Ticketmaster, you have your standard day of parking, your standard day of tickets, and there is one for the Creator Classic.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, this really is a
They're
thing.
pushing it. It's going to be great, though. They released the field, and if you're into that, like, that is.
Did we hear what of the Barstool guys?
I did not get a chance to reach
Trent won.
Trent did win. Good, 'cause I was going to message Trent, so this is good. So
Yeah.
I will now message Trent, and I will try to see if we can get Trent on the program a little bit earlier in the week because, yes, Cedar Rapids forever. Cedar Rapids forever, and yes, if you are into YouTube golf, you are going to want to stick around Wednesday afternoon for the Content Creator Classic. Some of your favorite YouTube golfers, Bryson DeChambeau's not in the field, on site here at TPC
Dang it.
Sawgrass. To play 9, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back 9 showdown.
Back 9 showdown. Miranda Rossum, we appreciate you joining us each and every Tuesday, typically during Players Championship season, but we also appreciate you
Friday.
calling the audible on a
Yeah.
Friday. I know, I messed up the day of the week yesterday. It is definitively Friday. We are one day closer to the Players
Love it.
Championship. Appreciate you. We will be seeing you this afternoon and looking forward to seeing you next week as well.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Our loaded 1 o'clock hour continues. Ross Tucker joins us next here on Helmets and Heels, live from the Players Championship opening weekend at TPC Sawgrass.
He's the voice of the Jags, Frank Franchi. He's the Jags beat reporter. He's Carline. Get more Jags on your ride home. The Franchi Show. Afternoons on 1010XL.
Lauren Brooks here. At Hodges Mazda, they are proud of their solid reputation in the Jacksonville community. As your hometown Mazda dealer, their high customer service standards and their huge inventory of new and used cars provide their customers a consistently first-rate car buying experience. Their professional, non-commissioned sales team puts your best interest first without exception. And all new vehicle purchases include the Hodges Mazda Protection Package. Visit them at HodgesMazda.com or stop in today to learn more and discover the Hodges Mazda difference.
Jags fans, here's your chance to score a trip to Green Bay for round 1 of draft night. Through the Everbank Draft Night Experience Sweepstakes, one lucky winner and a guest will be there live and in person to see the Jaguars make their first pick. To enter, visit everbank.com/draft by April 4th. That's everbank.com/draft. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents of the United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry period from 3/3/25 to 4/4/25. For official rules, prize description, odds of winning, and other details, visit everbank.com/draft. Sponsor and administrator, Everbank N.A.
The First Tee Tour Card is back for 2025 and better than ever, with access to over 15 of North Florida's best courses and new this year, local participating businesses. This card is your ticket to saving hundreds. First Tee North Florida is a local nonprofit who build character in youth participants through the game of golf. This annual fundraiser enables this amazing organization the ability to build game changers. Grab your tour card for just $99 at tourcard.org. For a list of participating partners, benefits, and restrictions.
Can you believe it's tournament time in North Florida again? Don from Taco Lou here, and yes, the Players Championship is right around the corner. But can you believe, too, that Taco Lou is celebrating 12 years of Tacos on 12? They say time flies when you're having fun, but 12 years just blew past us. But we love it. Even with all the changes we've seen out there over the years, one thing has not changed. Bangin' shrimp tacos and margaritas behind 12 Green. Catch us at the course, catch us at the Lou. We're open Monday of Players Week at Taco Lou in Jacksonville Beach.
I'm Carl. I'm 68 years old, and I lost 40 pounds thanks to Awaken 180 weight loss. In looking at pictures, I realized that my color wasn't good. I looked bloated, constantly tired, out of breath. It got to the point where I decided it was time to pick up the phone and call Awaken 180. The combination of the diet and the coaching really pushed me over the top. My self-confidence soared. I'm walking, I'm working out. Instead of 68, I feel like I'm 28. I just had my annual physical, and my doctor looked at my blood pressure and he said, "What did you do? What happened?" And I explained that I'm on the Awaken 180 program. I've never felt so good in my life. And as somebody that sometimes likes to take the shortcut, I didn't have to do that with this program. Awaken 180 is my solution for weight loss.
Carl's solution for weight loss, my solution for weight loss. Matt Hayes here. Lower blood pressure, increased confidence, feeling years younger. Want the same results? Then do what we did and make your own at Awaken180weightloss.com.
Call the deck guys if you want a brand new deck pavers or more. Call 904-813-2474.
TheDeckGuysJax.com. I'm Rick Julius, a partner at Cordell & Cordell. Divorce is more than just a legal process. It's a life-changing event that can impact your future, finances, and your relationship with your children. You've worked hard to build a life that you're proud of, and you deserve a legal partner who will work just as hard to protect it.
Offices in Jacksonville. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's attorneys. Lisa Cargis, Florida resident partner. Rick Julius, licensed in Pennsylvania only. Online at CordellCordell.com.
Hicken here. Beat the spring cleaning rush and call our cleaning heroes at Zero Res. This month, get one room Zero Resified starting at $53. Take $100 off your air duct cleaning. Visit ZeroResJacksonville.com and tell them 1010XL sent you.
Zero Res.
Are you looking for a place to outfit your truck or van? It's Catlin Truck Accessories. For 105 years and 4 generations, Catlin is the name you can count on. This is Keith Catlin, and we know trucks and vans too. From Lear toppers, ladder racks, van shelving, strobe lighting, rolling lot bed covers, and everything in between. If you want quality products and great customer service, there's only one name. It's Catlin.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
For 105 years, you can count on Catlin.
Share your voice anytime on the 1010XL text line.
Are you serious? Installed by Lifetime Flooring.
I gotta say, you're totally blowing my mind right now.
If you can't call or email, text us. 641-1010.
Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars. Make them your AC partner with honest cost estimates before they start the work with no hidden fees. Call 777-4300 for Florida Home AC.
Tired of seeing the signs of aging in the mirror? Fine lines, sun damage, redness? They don't have to be part of your future. I'm Dr. Mark Capel, a board-certified dermatologist, and I can help you look and feel your best without invasive surgery or painful treatments. Imagine rejuvenating your skin in a relaxing, comfortable environment with minimal to no downtime. Smooth out fine lines, even skin tone, and restore that youthful glow. Find out how to look and feel your best at Dermagnify.com. Dermagnify.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Helmets and Heels live from the Players Championship opening weekend. Mia O'Brien, Taylor Dahl, excited to welcome a friend of the program, second trip around the sun with us here on Helmets and Heels, Ross Tucker, the host of the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. And, of course, you can check him out on social media at Ross Tucker NFL. Ross, thanks so much for hopping on with us.
Yeah, my pleasure. Great to talk with you ladies. Did I see you guys are at a golf tournament?
We are indeed. We are at the opening weekend of the Players Championship, which, of course, the practice rounds Tuesday, Wednesday next week, and then the actual tournament kicks off Thursday. But it's a full week-plus event here in Northeast Florida.
That is awesome. I went one time to the Masters with my dad when I was in 8th grade, and those were the last autographs I ever asked for. I used to be big into autographs. And then my dad took me to the Masters, and I was taller than like 3 of the people I asked for their autograph. And I thought, okay, this is dumb now. Like, this is stupid. I'm done. You know, it was like Ian Woosnam, and I can't remember the name of these other guys, but I was like 5'10" in 8th grade or whatever I was, and they were like 5'6". I was like, yeah, you can't be getting autographs of people shorter than you. Like, it's over. And then when I played for the Cowboys, they always have the Byron Nelson tournament.
Yep.
Out in Dallas. people are like, you got to go. And I was like, I have no interest in going to watch dudes golf. And they're like, no, you don't understand. Like, it's a big party. So I went, and I did not see one guy hit the ball, like not one time. I had no idea there was just this giant party tent. And so now I'm a big golf guy now.
Yeah, the party tent golf guy.
There's a lot of that. That's what the Players Championship is all about. I mean, that's what we were in the fan shop this morning, and like I hate to say it, like people are here just for the gear and for all the various vendors that Miranda Rossum just ran us through. But Ross, let's pivot here. I know your time with us is short, and we really, really appreciate it and want to value it as best we can. The Jacksonville Jaguars made a flurry of moves yesterday, releasing several veterans. Before we ask you specifically about some prospects in the NFL draft, before we ask you about fixes for the Jaguars, were you surprised with their decision to trade Christian Kirk to the Houston Texans and release Evan Engram, among others?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, the Kirk thing, the surprise was that he was traded at all, because I thought they were just going to release him. So I give, Gladstone and Tony Baselli and those guys a lot of credit for getting something for him. I'm sure there's some people that say, are you sure you want to do that in division? The reality is you got to do what's best for your team, right? Like I played in Buffalo with Drew Bledsoe after the Patriots had traded him there. The Eagles traded Donovan McNabb to the Redskins once. These things happen. Even last year, the Commanders traded Jahan Dotson to the Eagles in division. So that doesn't really bother me. So I actually give them kudos for getting something in return for Christian. As for the Evan Engram, that one surprised me a little bit. Some of the other ones didn't as much, but that one, but in fairness, I hadn't really been hammering down on the Jags cap situation and where they were at. But still, he had some productive years for them, so I can't say I was expecting that.
Ross, when we're talking about this free agency, which now just a few days away from really kicking off, and because of the moves that the Jags made, there was already some holes, obviously, both offensive, defensive line, corner, safety, now wide receiver even more. So a lot of holes to fill. And a lot of people aren't crazy high about this free agency group, this free agency class. But what are your thoughts? Are there any guys that you could see being a fit in Jacksonville at any of those positions?
Yeah, I mean, I think, they've, to Shad Khan's credit, they have been very aggressive when it comes to free agency, and they've not been afraid to spend money, and they probably haven't gotten as good of a return on investment as they would have liked. And so I don't know how aggressive they'll be. I think it's pretty clear both Gladstone and Tony Baselli are going to want to fortify the line, right? So I think it might be a mix of draft and free agency, but I would envision that being a focus. And the good news is, everything you hear is that it's like a very, very good draft in terms of depth along the defensive line. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Jaguars end up, drafting 2 D linemen, maybe one edge guy and one guy inside, or maybe 2 guys inside. But I think that will be a focus, even though they still have some pretty good pieces with Walker, Hines Allen, and Armstead. And then the offensive line, I do think that for sure, I don't know if they'd go back to Fortner at center, or if they look to upgrade there with Morris retiring. I think they'll add a receiver, but I don't think it's a huge need with what we saw from Brian Thomas last year. That kid is unbelievable. And then obviously they want to get more out of Gabe Davis. I wouldn't be surprised if they're considering giving Parker Washington a shot at the slot.
Many of our listeners would agree with you. They were arguing with us on the text line, Ross, during the first hour because they, too, believe that Parker should be given his due. Ross Tucker, you can find him on X at Ross Tucker NFL, of course, the Ross Tucker podcast, and a bunch of other media gigs, as his Twitter bio reads.
Yeah.
And Ross, one of your many stops, of course, the Philadelphia Eagles, another one of your stops, an all Ivy League offensive lineman once upon a time. So let's talk about the trenches. Let's talk about this NFL draft class, because I have boldly said, and now it doesn't look so bold after Mitch Morse's retirement yesterday, that I believe the Jaguars will draft 2 offensive linemen, and I believe it will be addressed in their first 4 picks in the NFL draft in April. What say you?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all. We know the background, certainly, of the senior VP of football operations, Tony Baselli. I think there were some comments made. By the way, let me just say this about Baselli, okay? You know how every time the Jags interviewed a GM candidate, they posted the same picture of Tony walking, like, in the hallway with the guy?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
Yeah, 1,000%. His first move as senior VP of football operations, or whatever his title was, he wanted those pictures to show everybody how skinny he is now and how great he looks and how much weight he's lost. I am convinced. I've never seen pictures like that before. And then every picture is Tony in the Jags facility, with some smaller GM guy, and Tony looking like a basketball player, all trim and slim. I mean, I'm not mad at him for it, but you'll never convince me that wasn't his idea, so everybody could know how much weight he lost. That was hilarious. And yes, I think they will take 2 offensive linemen in the first 4 rounds, because I think they'll take a center, and I think they'll take probably a tackle, but maybe a guard also, maybe a guy that can play both. But yes, I would think, and because if you look, that's kind of Gladstone's track record too, right? The Rams had a decent amount of success while he was there of drafting O-linemen and plugging them in. So I would think that would be, the route that the Jags would take.
Yeah, Ross, it's something that right away both Liam Cohen and James Gladstone made it very known that they want to fix this offensive line. They want to get the run game going, and that obviously bleeds into a lot of other things. But I want to talk a little bit about that, the Trevor Lawrence and Liam Cohen possible connection and what that offense can look like, because a lot of the conversations and a lot of the things we've seen here with Trevor Lawrence is we know he can throw the deep ball. He has that. He's perfected it in a sense, but he struggles a lot when it comes to some of that shorter, intermediate, check down type of stuff. But it's a lot of Liam Cohen's game and what he did with Baker. So how much are you expecting Liam Cohen to bring that from Tampa and kind of execute some of that here in Jacksonville with Trevor?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things you should be most excited about if you're a Jaguars fan, is because we know how much money the Bucs offered Liam Cohen to stay. They really believed he was as good of an offensive coordinator as there was in the league, and that, after Dave Canales got the head job with the Carolina Panthers, there was concern as to whether or not Baker Mayfield would drop off, and instead he went out and had even a better year, under Liam Cohen. So, I'm sure they talk, but if you're Trevor Lawrence, you got to really be excited about the idea of Cohen and what he just did with Baker last year, and trying to be able to maximize what you can get out of your career, because it's time now, right? I mean, they've paid Trevor. He's been there enough years now. It's really time for him to take that next step and get into the conversation of at least being talked about as a top 10 quarterback if he can't crack the top 5, which is very, very, very hard to do.
Ross, no, you have another call you have to hop on here at 1:30, but before we let you go, if you would like to tell us a little bit more about myfrontpagestory.com.
I told you ladies about it the last time. I am extremely passionate about telling people in life how you feel about them and how much you care about them. And this is by far the best gift for that I've ever seen. So anniversaries, birthdays, Mother's Day will be here before you know it. Go to myfrontpagestory.com. They write the most incredible story about your loved one. Get pictures. Looks like it's on the cover of the newspaper, framed, absolutely beautiful. Whether you get it for your mom or your significant other or your dad, it's incredible for grandparents, absolutely incredible because they love the newspaper and they've never had anybody write an article about them. So I just can't recommend it enough. myfrontpagestory.com. At a minimum, just go over there and throw your email address in because they send you a 20% discount code right away. So you might as well do it. myfrontpagestory.com.
Love it. Ross Tucker of the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. And, of course, you can check him out on social media at Ross Tucker NFL. Appreciate you hopping on with us. Officially a friend of the program, reoccurring guest. Thanks so much, Ross. Have a great weekend.
Sounds great. See you guys.
Thank you.
Again, you can find him on X at Ross Tucker NFL. We will say hello to Dalton Wasserman of PFF on the other side, live from the Players Championship opening weekend here at TPC Sawgrass.
Elevate your happy hour at the new Dua Restaurant and Lounge on Bay Meadows Road. Inspired by the vibrant and diverse culinary traditions of the Mediterranean, Dua has a unique South Florida vibe and welcoming atmosphere. Savor handcrafted cocktails and delicious happy hour specials every Monday to Friday, 5 to 8 p.m. Whether kicking back after work or starting your night in style, Dua Restaurant and Lounge on Bay Meadows Road is where good times and great flavors meet. DuaLoungeJax.com.
Don't miss the Players Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scottie Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
Did you know your pup could take 30,000 to 60,000 steps a day at Dogtopia of Jacksonville Beach Boulevard? That's a whole lot of tail wagging fun with their best furry friends. At Dogtopia, they turn playtime into exercise, learning, and socialization in their off-leash, open play environment. Dogs build confidence, reduce anxiety, and stay happy and healthy, all while having the time of their lives. Visit Dogtopia of Jacksonville Beach Boulevard today.
Cool Cats Heating and Cooling, the coolest cats in town, setting the standard in our hometown. Quality service, the best around. Coolidge is the cat that cares about your heating and about your air. Cool Cats Heating and Cooling, the coolest cats in town.
Hey, poker fans, the stakes are high this month as Best Bet dishes out over $550,000 between Jacksonville, Orange Park, and the St. Augustine poker rooms. Feeling lucky? How about $300 every 15 minutes at the table games, or cash in on the $20,000 race to a race, or every Friday, $1,000 every 30 minutes. And go for the green on St. Patrick's Day, where a Royal Flushing Clubs wins up to $5,000. See all the details at bestbetjacks.com. That's bestbetjacks.com.
Share your voice anytime on the 1010XL text line.
Are you serious? Installed by Lifetime Flooring.
I gotta say, you're totally blowing my mind right now.
If you can't call or email, text us. 641-1010.
Mia O'Brien here for Pro Jax Roofing. Here at the Superstation, we talk a lot about pros. Pro football, pro baseball, pro basketball, pro sports. But if you want a true pro when it comes to your roof, you should call Mike with Pro Jax Roofing. Mike's been in the roofing biz for well over 25 years, and when you call, you don't get a recording, you get Mike himself. Find Mike's cell on ProJaxRoofingFL.com. That's ProJaxRoofingFL.com. Don't rely on the third string option. Call in the starter with Mike at Pro Jax Roofing.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation, light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to CarlsonDentalGroup.com. That's CarlsonDentalGroup.com for all of your dental needs.
Hey, this is David with Royal Pest Services. The fact that we've been bundled up the past month gave us an idea. Let's bundle up also with our Centricon and Pest Control bundle, starting at $349. Visit RoyalPestServices.com for your free inspection.
I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when it happened. There was a sudden jolt, and our submarine crashed on the seafloor. We were in total darkness.
That's Dr. Dejana Figueroa, a marine biologist and STEM teacher, talking about a deep sea dive she'll never forget.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I was afraid of the ocean, and there I was, 2 miles below the surface. But as a scientist, you prepare for that. Using our training and a little creativity, we fixed the sub and finished our experiments. The dive was just too important. Every dive gives us glimpses at things few people ever get to see. Glowing creatures, fiery undersea volcanoes. When we got back to the surface, I kissed the ground and called my mom, of course. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that dive for anything.
Dr. Figueroa uses her passion for STEM to discover new things and make the world a better place. She can STEM, so can you. Check out She Can STEM for more stories and inspiration. A message from the Ad Council.
If you're heading to the Og or you're already part of the nation's oldest, don't forget to drop into Sunset Grill. For over 30 years, serving up great chowder, seafood, wings, and cold beer. Sunset Grill, somewhere on A1A, St. Augustine.
New and pre-owned firearms are always in stock at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Want a new sidearm or rifle? Brands like Kimbar, Smith & Wesson, Sig Sauer, and Beretta. No lines, no hassle. Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road. If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Of a jam-packed week as we get you set for the Players' Championship next week and, of course, the NFL Draft a little over a month away. Let's get ready to say hello to another friend of the program, another reoccurring guest, Dalton Wasserman of PFF. Not only will I take you behind the scenes, folks, and Taylor Dahl, and let you know that Dalton came up to me at the Combine. As we've discussed ad nauseum so often at the Combine, you're glazed over, you're editing video, you're doing shows. You're like, wait, you're my friend. You're my friend who's been on the show. But I know you. Where do I know you from? That is what went down between Dalton and I last week in Indianapolis. And then Dalton, God bless you. You then went to New Orleans for Mardi Gras. Directly from Indianapolis, sir? Can you clarify, please?
I came back to Cincinnati for probably about 6 hours of sleep, and then took it to Mardi Gras down it was probably 7 a.m. or so last Saturday. So the back to back probably week and a half between the two, and probably shortened my lifespan a little bit, but that's all right. We had a good time. We certainly had a good time with both.
Absolutely.
It's funny because I saw a post recently of someone talking about just like all the things that have been happening in New Orleans, obviously with the Super Bowl, and it was a Taylor Swift concert, Sugar Bowl, Snow Day, Super Bowl, Mardi Gras. It was just like one thing after another.
It's a place to be.
That was happening in New Orleans.
Oh, it's certainly always the place to be. I'll tell you, there's nobody that does a big event better than they do down there. And for me, the other thing, too, is to me, it's the best food town on the planet. I could just sit there. Yeah. I pretty much just sat around eating all weekend in between everything else that's going on. So certainly, if you haven't been over there yet, or if you haven't been over there for a big event yet, certainly make your way over there. It's the best.
No one does it like New Orleans, and no one does it like PFF. That is where you can find Dalton's work. Of course, the co-host of the PFF College Football Show with Max Chadwick. We'll talk a little college, maybe, Dalton, but obviously part of having you on is to discuss the NFL Draft, good fits for the Jaguars. We've actually been doing a series this week, Dalton, looking at position by position, not necessarily our top 3 on our big board of our top 3 ranked players at the position, but the best 3 fits for the Jacksonville Jaguars. A logical place to begin, of course, given the news yesterday and the flurry of moves the Jaguars made. Wide receiver, tight end. Do you think the Jaguars are going to be aggressive at either position in the draft, given they just released Evan Engram and traded Christian Kirk?
I mean, I think it's entirely possible, right? When you think about the number of holes on this team, now there's a star at a lot of different places when you think about Brian Thomas, not necessarily one at tight end, but, on the defensive line, but they could still add to it with a Mason Graham, Tyson Campbell at corner, but they could use another one. I think they've really opened themselves up to have some options, right, especially with that fifth pick. Could it be a Mason Graham on the inside of the defensive line? Could it be a Will Campbell somewhere on the offensive line out of LSU, right? Are we talking Will Johnson or Jahdae Barron at corner if they want to add somebody to the secondary? We know that's a need. So I think it's kind of something where they have a decent amount of cap space now, and I think if they make him a post-June 1 cut, they're going to save a little over $15 million on Evan Engram. So we'll obviously find out which holes get filled in free agency first, but I think you're talking about a lot of key spots: receiver, corner, possibly defensive tackle. And with Mitch Morse's retirement this week, they're going to have to find a starting center as well and get that, set the dish, as James Gladstone put it last week when he talked about protecting Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, that's obviously the other big one we've been talking about, because it was an offensive line that we already felt needed added pieces. Now with the Brandon Sheriff probably not going to be returning, and then you add Mitch Morse retiring, and that does feel like there's some massive needs, and it now has even been upped this week. So when we're talking about that, the offensive line, Mia told you, we've been kind of breaking down our top three of potential fits for the Jags, and that interior offensive line was one of the ones we did earlier in the week. So speaking on that, who are some guys that you like in this draft? Maybe not that like top 1-2 guy, but maybe somebody you can get in the second, third rounds that you think could be a fit on the interior for Jacksonville.
Yeah, I think in day two is really going to be the sweet spot for the interior when you talk about maybe on the higher end of the second round, a guy like Donovan Jackson from Ohio State, who I think is scheme versatile and maybe doesn't have the all-pro type of ceiling, but I think a solid starter and a safe bet to be a solid starter in the NFL, I think is someone. The one thing you want to look for in when you're building an offensive line is stability first, instead of just constantly fishing for 5 superstars. You're not going to have 5 superstars up there, but if you find solid starters, a guy like Jackson at guard could work. Another guy I think would be a really good fit, the center Jared Wilson out of Georgia. He only started for 1 year down there, but had a fantastic season. He's a great athlete. He showed that off at the combine as well. I think he would be a third-round target. If they're looking for a plug-and-play center, they could find a starter on day 2 at that spot as well. And then I think there's definitely some options, especially at guard and free agency, as long as you're, getting through some of the injury concerns with a couple of them. So they've got a couple of avenues here, a good amount of money and some good draft capital to use on the interior. But I do think day 2 is the sweet spot when you're looking at those spots on the inside.
Dalton, you couldn't see it, but Taylor was fist pumping, as you said, Jared Wilson, because that's a name that she has had earmarked and mentioned on the show not once but twice this week. Dalton Wasserman of PFF. You can find him on X at PFF_Dalton, as Jacksonville actually pops by our show here live at the Players Championship. Dalton, a lot going on.
Taking some swings, I think.
Speaking of a lot going on, now that we've hit offensive line, you mentioned Tyson Campbell and the need for a corner opposite him. Kind of a two-part question here. Hi, Jackson. Nice to see you. A two-part question for you, Dalton Wasserman. Two-part in that the corner spot opposite Tyson Campbell, is it as much of a priority to have another premium draft capital slotted into that spot opposite Tyson? Or, especially looking at the LA Rams and how they've built their secondary, do you say, hey, we can find a starter opposite him on day 3 because our focus is acquiring draft picks and acquiring premium talent that will affect the quarterback along the defensive line?
I think it's certainly when you're talking about the secondary, and I think the Eagles, obviously winning the Super Bowl, did it the best of anybody of marrying the coverage with the pass rush that they have, right? And the big stat was that they didn't have to blitz a single time in the Super Bowl. That's not just because their front four was dominating. It was because they were the best coverage team in football, too. So to me, it's all pretty equally important when you talk about how to build it. I think right now they have a little bit more depth on the defensive line. But, it depends on the player, too, right? If you're talking about a guy as talented as Travis Hunter, if he were to fall to 5, it would be very hard to pass him up and put him across from Tyson Campbell and then maybe use him on offense a little bit. So, there's teams that have gone about it in different ways. You could have premier talents at corner. You could have, one premier talent. We've seen it out of Tyson Campbell before, and then another solid starter. I think of how the Jets did it the last couple of years with a Sauce Gardner and a DJ Reed, right? And don't be shocked if they're in the free agent market for this, too. Even a guy at the top like Reed or a Travarius Ward. And part of it, too, is going to depend on what style of defense they're going to be running, right? Are we a heavy man coverage defense like they tried to be last year? Are they going more like the Rams approach that they've had, a lot more zone coverage, or the Eagles have had with zone coverage and sitting back? So a lot of the fit stuff goes into the player evaluations in the draft. And if they feel they have enough options, maybe in day 2 or early in day 3 that, okay, this guy could be a fit specifically for us as a starter, then maybe they don't have to use the 5th overall pick on it. They could go defensive line with somebody like Mason Graham, but those are decisions, the kind of layered decisions made based on the depth of each position and how many fits they feel like are in their defense in this draft.
Yeah, that's a conversation we've been having a lot this week, is what that defense will look like. And with Anthony Campanile coming here, is it going to be what is he bringing the Halfley side with him, or is it going to change? Is he going to mix some things up? So that's still, we are all wondering that, and it's kind of hard to really pick players exactly when you don't know. But I want to zoom out a little bit. And after the combine, I think one of the conversations when it was surrounding that top, the 4 selections before the Jaguars, and how that may look, how it may end up shaking out. One of the things that did not go our way, we were trying to petition to get 3 quarterbacks up at the top, so we have the choice of a lot at 5. We just didn't think that was going to happen. And now a guy like Shedeur Sanders has kind of started falling on a lot of people's boards when it comes to things. What were you hearing leaving the combine when it comes to teams, when it comes to Shedeur, and just kind of what that top 4 may look like?
Well, it certainly seems like coming out of the combine, we heard a lot of the noise that a lot more teams think about Cam Ward as the top guy, that seems more of a lock to go at least in the top 3, possibly number 1 to Tennessee, 2 to Cleveland, 3 to the Giants, but all 3 of those teams really needing a quarterback. I'm very high on Shedeur Sanders. I'm of the belief that he's still going to go in the top 6 or 7 in some order, because it's a thinner quarterback class than we got last year, right? I know there's been some mock drafts floating out there about maybe Jackson Dart working his way into that conversation. I'm not as high on Dart. I think really beyond Cam and Shedeur, there's a pretty big drop-off, I think, in the quality of quarterbacks. And that happens. Look, a lot of years there is only 1 or 2 good ones to pick from, and we've even seen back in 2022 where it was really rough, and the only good one came out of the last pick of the draft, right, with Brock Purdy. So it can at times be a crapshoot when it comes to quarterback, but I still think Shedeur is going to get taken pretty highly. I think there's enough high opinions of him. I don't know what all the smoke screens and all that might be, because this is the time of year for it, but I still think it's very possible you get 2 quarterbacks taken in the top 4, especially when you have desperate teams like, again, the Browns, the Giants, and then the Raiders and Jets even sitting at 6 and 7. And free agency is going to play a big part in this too. But I would still bet there's certainly going to be somebody of a premier talent at some position there at number 5 to be taken. I still think 2 quarterbacks could very likely go in the top 4.
A couple more for Dalton Wasserman of PFF. Dalton, you gave us some great names along the offensive line, so let's hit a couple other potential names to watch for the Jacksonville Jaguars on day 2, day 3, not necessarily that opening round of the NFL draft. I am curious, the defensive line, we've heard about how deep this class is. Certainly here in Jacksonville, the conversation surrounding edge depth behind Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker has been a sticking point in the final 2 years under Trent Baalke's reign. Who are some names the Jaguars maybe look to on the defensive side of the trenches on day 2 or day 3 that could be maybe not plug-and-play starters, but certainly key rotational pieces in year 1?
I think definitely you have, I think right in that middle, like round 3 to 5 range, there's this big glut of big run-stopping defensive tackles, right? And I know Mason Graham, early on would add the pass rush element too, but if they want to just look for run stoppers, I think about guys like C.J. West from Indiana, who was one of the best run defenders in college football this year, right? Inside, plugging up those A-gaps and freeing up the linebackers, right? Because that's really what they want to do, is free up space for a Luakon and Devin Lloyd to start running to the football. So C.J. West or a Jamari Caldwell from Oregon, who moved really well at the combine. He's another big run-stopping type. J.J. Pegues from Ole Miss. That's where I think I would be adding in the middle rounds. I think there's a lot of good edge options if they want to go there on day 2 and add to that side. But if they're looking for defensive tackles, really get in there on early downs, 1st and 2nd downs, stop the run early so you can start playing into that secondary and maybe even into some of those blitz looks that you could be getting on later downs. I think those are the guys you're looking at. I think there's a lot of really good run defenders that can be waited on, right? I think that's going to be the debate about for some teams taking a Kenneth Grant or somebody or a Tyleik Williams early when there's so many other good run defenders later in the draft. So I think in the middle rounds, they're really going to be looking to beef up, and there's going to be more of an emphasis on running the ball, obviously, on offense and stopping the run on defense.
Yeah, speaking of that running the ball side, it's a conversation that I know we'll start having more and more too with the Travis Etienne contract next year, being a free agent And then Tank Bigsby. I really liked what we saw out of Tank Bigsby this last season, but how much does that progress, and what does Liam Cohen and James Gladstone see in that, especially after what Cohen did with Bucky Irving this last season and a heavy running back draft? There's a lot of running backs in this that I like that even come probably round 3, 4, 5. Are there any guys that you like in that sense that may seem to fit what Liam Cohen kind of did with Bucky?
Oh, I mean, I'll be honest with you. First of all, I just love the depth of this running back class. Obviously, it's been touted for a long time with so many guys that came back this year to college football. But I think they are going to take somebody in the middle rounds. I think one of the themes is going to be maybe teams that you don't think necessarily need a running back take a guy who is, just talented enough. They go, okay, we have to add him to the room. So one guy I think about who had a great combine that's a bit similar to Irving, he's a little bit faster, but think about R.J. Harvey from down there in Orlando at UCF. I mean, he just had a fantastic combine. He's got really good vision. To me, he runs a little bit like James Cook, and I think that's the kind of the loose comparison I've been using for him. A little bit of a dual threat, really good vision, makes people miss. Second most explosive runs in college football this year behind Ashton Jeanty. He really got it done for UCF and carried that offense. And then I think about other guys that have been popping up lately, right? Bashal Tootin from Virginia Tech. Brashard Smith is a really kind of a positionless weapon that I like out of SMU. So, look, I think in the middle rounds you're going to see a lot of teams taking backs that, maybe even let's say a team like the Ravens or the Philadelphia Eagles, just get a talented guy in the room and figure it out later because there's so much to work with this running back class.
One more for you, Dalton, because I know our time is short, but I think this is a question that myself, Taylor, our friend Gus Logue, who does our Duval Rundown podcast, we've gone back and forth, and I can't identify the player in this year's draft, but you know this draft class better than probably anybody. A true center fielder at safety, a true free safety. If the Jaguars are to let Andre Cisco walk, obviously they have a need. Antonio Johnson, there's still questions there exactly where he fits into the secondary. Who is a name that maybe the Jaguars could look to any round? Please don't say Nick Emanuari, though, because that makes things very difficult. Who is that true free safety in this year's class?
I'm going with a guy who I think is extremely likely to go in round 2, and that's Xavier Watts from Notre Dame. Notre Dame.
Taylor is happy.
That's it right there. The Notre Dame played They played as much single high coverage as any team in the country, and over the last 2 years, Xavier Watts has been the best ball hawk in the country. I think it's 13 interceptions over the last 2 years. This year what I like, too, is that got better at tackling, got better in run defense, a little more aggressive, a little bit stronger. But as far as a pure single high ball hawk like that, I think he's the best one in the draft.
This is why you are a reoccurring guest and a friend of the program, Dalton. We'll make T-shirts at some point. You can find him on PFF_Dalton on X, and he is, of course, an analyst, contributor, and the co-host of the PFF College Football Show on PFF. Dalton, thanks so much for hopping on with us. Have a great weekend, and maybe sleep, possibly.
Yeah, get some sleep.
Oh, I certainly will. Appreciate you guys as always. Thank you.
Again, that's Dalton Wasserman of PFF. Before we say hello to Primetime, let's first cool things down a bit.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since '87.
No, we got to say hello to the boys of Primetime. So just to recap kind of what we did today, there was a lot going on.
There was, yes.
Here live at the Players Championship opening weekend. Again, they are open today, tomorrow, Sunday, 10 to 4. The fan shop is open, so make sure you swing on by. Our thanks to Miranda Rossum of the PGA Tour and the Players Championship. Our thanks to Ross Tucker, and our thanks to Dalton Wasserman for joining us in a loaded 1 o'clock hour. Did I miss anything, Taylor?
Yeah, no, other than our wide receivers. But
yes,
that's about it.
Our 3 wide receiver matches. You can go back and listen on demand to see which 3 names Taylor and I think are fits for the Jaguars in this year's NFL draft at that position. Now let's say hello to Leon.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. Find the coolest cats in town at coolcatsjacks.com.
Leon, as we are wrapping up out here at the 17th Challenge, right across from the Pro Shop at TPC Sawgrass, do you love this time of year as much as we do, being out here?
Oh, absolutely. I love going out there at the TPC, especially during the golf tournament. It gives me a chance to wear my paisley or my pastel when I go out there.
And Leon, I also can report that it's a little chilly out here, so
it's a little nip
probably
in the air.
would feel great for Leon, honestly.
Right, exactly. We don't have to worry about it being like crazy hot or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm well insulated, ladies.
Well, What's coming up on primetime?
At the top of the hour, we're going to have Aaron Boone on. You know, that's Coach Campo pulled the strings on that one. And we're going to talk Jaguars spring cleaning and free agency and everything else.
You did phrase it that way.
Spring
on
cleaning.
X.
Yeah.
Spring cleaning,
Okay.
Leon.
Yeah.
So give us quickly before we got to get you guys on the air so you could say hello to my favorite manager sometimes in Major League Baseball. I do hope that Coach Campo gives you the list of questions I sent. And the first one is, why is DJ LeMahieu still employed? I don't think Coach Campo is going to let you ask that, but I digress. Is it spring cleaning to you, what the Jacksonville Jaguars did yesterday? You're okay with it?
It feels like it a little bit, to be quite honest with you. And I know some of the fans, I was shocked by Evan Engram, but then I looked at this. Like, you got to remember, these guys don't have any loyalty to these guys, to the guys that they're releasing because they didn't pick them. I mean, these are bulky guys that they brought in. So, I mean, the general manager is making a statement that, he referenced the fact that he's going to get his guys in here. And we've got to understand that the guys that he's let go, there's no real loyalty towards those guys because they weren't his picks.
Yeah, it kind of seems like James Gladstone does not share the sentiment that was shared in this offseason, that this was the best roster put together.
Yes, that part.
Let's get you boys on the air. Thanks so much, Leon.
You got it.
XL Primetime coming up 2 to 4 p.m. And again, they are leading with the general manager, the head coach. The coach. I'm just going to get it. It's time for me to go. Aaron Boone is coming next on XL Primetime, along with Leon, along with Matt Hayes, along with Coach Campo. For Taylor Dahl, for Mia O'Brien, our thanks again to Dalton Wasserman, our thanks to Ross Tucker, our thanks to Miranda Rossum, our thanks to producer RJ Saunders back at 1010XL World Headquarters, our thanks to John O'Leary, keeping us afloat here live at the Players Championship opening week. Heck, thank you, Lauren Brooks. Can't wait to see you back here, your shining face on Monday after a well-deserved vacation. And our thanks to you, the Heeligans, for hanging with us for a jam-packed 2 hours here on Helmets and Heels. We will catch you on Monday.